You have the ring. And I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. Now let's see how well you handle it.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and today there are more Marvel Comics news and rumors to talk about. These, of course, came from Bleeding Cool as well, but it's not going to be Perch today. I got another guest. I got Yul Carter from Fantastic Comics. How you doing, buddy?
I am wonderful.
All right, so it was a pretty not anything mind-blowing or earth-shattering in here, but there's some good nuggets. The first thing I want to talk about it, and I think I disagree with this one. I think Marvel might have missed the boat. Apparently, they believe that C.B.Cebulski, as the editor-in-chief, did a good job bringing his team through the current crisis, so he's going to have some more leeway going forward. They must have saw a different side of CB than I did, because all I saw was him trying to save restaurants.
Yeah, at least in the very beginning, that's what I remember him doing. I actually, he really hasn't come out and made any statement about anything except like these events, right? He's pretty. It must have been something behind the scenes that really, he must be some crazy glue, because maybe everybody was like, "I'm out of here." I don't care.
Maybe
about
he just talked the whole team off the ledge once he furloughed all of them. Don't worry, you're coming back, kid.
That would be a bonus. But if that's the only thing, he kept good people working for very little money. He did a great job. He hasn't done really a great job since he started in. A lot of the hope that some readers felt that he was going to be bringing to the books never actually materialized. And a lot of the events or new launches or new relaunches of books just really is Marvel in a nutshell, and I don't like it.
I will give C.B.Cebulski credit for this. At least he brought all the classic heroes back. When he came in there, he had to bring back Tony Stark back. He had to bring Fantastic Four back. He had to bring Bruce Banner back as the Hulk. He had a lot of work to do. All those classic characters came back. They all haven't been executed very well. I think Tony Stark Iron Man has been lacking. Fantastic Four probably should have some more juice to it than it has. But at least Immortal Hulk was really good there for a bit. And, we got back to a classic Avengers team. So at least he brought some classic characters back. And he did cut out a lot of the BS on social media where his creators were losing their minds, saying stuff to the fans until a few months ago. They did kind of lose it again. But for the most part, I thought he kept his team in check pretty okay on social media.
I think you're right. People that, there are some people out there. Funny enough, like we were talking earlier about how Al Ewing is kind of like a block happy person, and I'm a store owner, and I kind of want to hear what he has to say sometimes. And just because I have a lot of people that I'm following as a store owner, that has got me caught up. And so, continuing that might be the only thing I could really point to. There have been a lot of people that have left the company that were kind of some of those people. So absolutely. Maybe that's
Venus
also
is gone.
Yeah.
Heather Antos used to like to kind of mess with the fans on social media. She's out. Obviously, she's been shown the door.
And she has done stuff during that time since she's been gone from Marvel still. So it's not. So that might be one of the reasons also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's kind of picked up the habit over at Valiant Comics.
Yeah.
So, but as far as his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, I don't know. I'm going to have to see some more evidence because he doesn't seem like he's done much. Jim Lee has certainly outclassed him, and I would say even Eric Stevenson has outclassed him over at Image Comics.
Well, I just finished the initial pre-order, for like the next couple months. So I ordered from Diamond, and I also ordered from Lunar. When I do Lunar, obviously that's the DC stuff. And the Marvel section was so small. It's like almost nothing. I was thinking, okay, there's this Empire tie-in. There's an Empire tie-in. There's Empire and a couple of trades. And I'm like, what happened to the rest of, like, where's Spider-Man? Where's the X-Men? Where's, some of that other stuff? So C.B.Cebulski, like we said, he told people to put their pencils down. He furloughed people. nothing was happening. You know, DC's been creating, even during that time when they weren't getting anything shipped. They wanted to make sure there was stuff coming out, and they cut the fat. The DC made certain things digital, and Marvel also did that, but I think they pissed a lot more people with the things that they chose to do, because the few people that actually read, you know, the Hawkeye miniseries or some of those other things actually read those books and cared about them. And although it was a low number of people that maybe were buying them, it upset people. So that's another thing he did during the COVID situation that a lot of people were upset about. And I don't know if he's done a real good job, actually.
I'm going to balk on that one, but I'm glad the people in Marvel or Disney seem to think so. So maybe he's got a little bit of better job security than I've heard that he has moving forward. But there are a few other things that we do want to talk about. Another one of the big ones is that Children of the Atom has not been rescheduled yet. We thought it was going to be part of Dawn of X as an ongoing. Apparently that is not the case. If it is released, and I certainly think that it will be released, that it is going to be a limited series, like a 6-issue, 8-issue series. I think this is probably pretty smart. The reception of it was mostly mockery. Obviously, it didn't get quite as bad as New Warriors, but seriously, it's a bad concept and a really bad writer that certainly doesn't need to be touching the X-Men franchise, which should be a moneymaker for Marvel moving forward.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, anytime something new comes in and it's part of the X-Men universe, how much of this actually was what Jonathan Hickman had planned? Because, you know, when he was doing Avengers or Fantastic Four and they split off into 2 books with New Avengers or FF, Future Foundation, he was still writing all of that stuff. And, you know, he's got so many other titles. It's Benjamin Piercy, it's Ed Brisson, it's this one, Vita Ayala was going to be doing it.
Yeah.
There's so many different voices out there. How could they all be his unless he just has this, you know, this map of what he wants to have done, and he's like, "You're the person to do it." That's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, they have a Slack channel where they do all of their coordination. So that's how it's so coordinated so well.
They used to have those retreats where they would go out and, you know, hang out. It was just the X-Men team with all the editors. So I guess it's Slack now. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's how they contact each other on a day-to-day basis. But it felt like this was one of the X-Men titles that just didn't have a lot of buzz coming out of it. Like I said, definitely one of the absolute lower tier writers that they had brought on the team. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I am somewhat, I'm not happy, but it makes a lot of sense that it's being moved to like a limited series. And I think this will probably end up coming out after Ten of Swords. There's no reason to kind of cloud up the Dawn of X big event with the substandard title that everyone's going to make fun of when it gets launched.
Sure thing. I mean, it would, I don't know. What is it? It's humans that want to be like the original X-Men. Is that what it is?
Zoomers.
They're Zoomers.
Generation Z.
All right, very good. Yeah, I could, you know, like, hey, a story can be good when you don't expect it. So, you know, I'll hold out a little reservation. Like I said, you know, Hickman's supposed to be involved, so it could possibly be good. And if it's executed well, you know, we'll all be very happy about it. But it's perfect that Vita would be on this book, and that it would be. In fact, I feel like most of the X-Men offshoots, if they aren't successful, they're ultimately a miniseries anyway, or a max.
Well, everything at Marvel is a limited series. It's
sure
just
thing.
How limited is it going to be in the long run? And I'll give Vita out of this. I do give her some crap here on the channel. When I went and read the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary, Wonder Woman 750, she absolutely, hands down, had the best story in that comic book, and it was a good comic book. So it wasn't like I'm, giving her a compliment, but it's not a compliment. That was a good anthology comic, and she had the best story. So she can write a good story, given the right circumstances, and hopefully it does work out for Children of the Atom. That is not the only news that we had for X-Men. Obviously, when they announced the X-Men Free Comic Book Day, we knew that we were getting the story that was leading into Ten of Swords. But there's also a backup story that was being written by Tom Taylor. He used to do, I believe, X-Men Red.
Yeah.
One of the worst X-Men books of all time. Definitely avoid that if you can. If you read it, I'm sorry. But it seemed odd that he would be coming back but not be a part of the X-Men series. So there is a speculation within this Bleeding Cool article that Tom Taylor is actually going to be moving back into the X-Men, and he's going to be the one that's working on this upcoming Moira Mactaggert title, which we had heard that was kind of in the works, but that was the only thing that we had heard so far.
Yeah, Moira Mactaggert. Well, this would be a mini series, probably. Also, it's got to be. It's funny. Everybody really likes Tom Taylor when he's doing alternate versions of superhero universes. Like I like
him on DC.
Yeah, he did Injustice and Deceased, and he
some Batman annuals that were actually very good.
Yeah, I think I've liked his DC work more. I kind of liked All New Wolverine in the beginning. If Moira is going to have all these lives and alternate histories, this is a perfect title for him, I think. It could be really good.
So hopefully it works out better than X-Men Red did, because
X-Men Red just wasn't. I did not like it. I personally felt artistically and the story was very decompressed and just not for me at all.
So obviously, in the last news and rumors segment that we did, where we were talking to Perch, we said that expect a very limited, one shots, limited series. Don't really expect to see legacy characters or not the traditional Marvel heroes to be in those. But apparently, there is going to be an exception, and that is going to be for MCU movies that are moving forward. And apparently, they had huge plans for the Eternals, which was supposed to be a movie, I believe, that was coming out in November. But of course, those have been kind of put on the back burner. There was going to be a lot of big name talent on that, but we should expect to see that shifted to February to coincide with the upcoming Eternals movie, which I believe that's the release month now. We've obviously heard that Neil Gaiman might have been working with Eternals. What are your thoughts on like a big name, like big emphasis on Eternals moving forward? It feels like a waste of time and money, but I guess they're trying to use the MCU to maybe launch a title.
I think that would be it. Look, if I'm not. If the MCU can do no wrong, and movies can get back to the way they are, I would still wonder whether or not the Eternals movie would do any good. It's going to be big, and I don't know, man. The Eternals just never really sang to me so much when I was growing up reading Marvel. And is there other than like Jack Kirby, is there any real reason to care about these characters? Having said that, there has been really good books with the characters. And yeah, Neil Gaiman did a limited series at one time, and I don't know if he was back on it as a writer on the book, that would be a big deal, and comic books need a big deal, so that would be sweet. But again, the Eternals, I'm not so sure.
Well, apparently, this is the Empire event is going to be launching the Space Age of Marvel. So it's going to be a lot more cosmic focus. So I imagine the Eternals will be kind of coming into it. Guardians of the Galaxy obviously are already out there. Hopefully we'll be getting a Nova series soon. I don't know why that isn't in the works, but I don't know. I don't see good. Eternals being a big seller unless you get like a Neil Gaiman or somebody that's had some success with the characters. And even then, is it been recent enough that people are even going to remember besides old guys like us?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the Eternals are even more so of that. I mean, it's an IP that can be abused, and we've seen Ant-Man do well in the movies. Again, something I thought, well, this is never going to be good. And it did well financially. So why should I bet against the Eternals being good financially? But having seen them come into comic book stores, I know how they usually sell. And, again, unless Neil Gaiman's writing it. And again, I don't know, maybe we are too old and nobody cares anymore. Just as long as he doesn't get in any trouble, it would be a good pick still.
Did those big Ant-Man movies actually move units of Ant-Man comics?
No, not really. I think, but they didn't really put their best foot forward either. They didn't put, Ed McGuinness on it, let's say. Or I can't even think of like their important artists right now. But they didn't do that. And I understand that it's Ant-Man. Why would you?
Segment on Ant-Man?
Yeah,
to
exactly. I
coincide with the
can't
movie.
wait for that. That'll be great. We'll get like a dark Ant-Man and all that other
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
It'll be great. I remember like the story always was like Neil Adams told Marvel, "I want you to put me on your lowest selling book," and they put him on X-Men because he wanted to challenge himself. So there you go, Ryan Stegman, Donny Cates. There's your challenge, Ant-Man.
Yeah, go grab it. Hey man, I read that the latest relaunch. It wasn't much to talk about. It was Ant-Man and Wasp, I think it was. It wasn't very good. But there's also another comic book that we should be seeing that's associated with the Black Widow movie, so that should come out before the end of the year. And this is Jed MacKay and Alessandro Vitti's Taskmaster comic. This is something I actually would be interested in if it wasn't Jed MacKay, who I think is kind of a vanilla milquetoast writer. He doesn't do anything that really I think is exciting. I think his first issue of Black Cat, I guess, was okay, but after that, it was nothing really.
I haven't really got into his stuff, and I think he plays for humor a lot. And my fear is that Taskmaster has been played for humor for quite a while now. Even when he's portrayed seriously, he's punked out pretty easily. And there hasn't been a real respect for that character. And I would assume that his costume's going to change to resemble the movie. And I don't know, but the artist is pretty good, if I remember correctly.
Well, Taskmaster should be one of the most powerful or formidable villains in the entire Marvel universe. He watches you take half a punch, and he knows exactly how to defeat you in battle.
Yeah. He's got that memory, so that if he watches somebody perform karate, he can do it. He can perform.
All he has to do is see you like move your feet, and he knows exactly what you're going to do and can beat you. So
yeah, exactly.
That's a cool character. I don't know why they keep selling him out and not making him look cool.
Awesome. I remember seeing videos where, and I don't know why it would be Taskmaster though, because I don't think he's been on cartoons or anything like that. But you see the recurring cast of villains always coming back into like the comic books, and they're portrayed like sillier and sillier as time goes on because they're kind of like resembling those cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know, Arcade. That's a one a lot of people.
I love Arcade. He's like my favorite villain.
Yeah, but he's such a joke.
Yeah.
He's been a joke for a while and overexposed also.
Mm-hmm.
You see these same villains used over and over and over again, and they get overexposed, and that's the problem with mainstream comic books though these days.
All right, well, I think that'll basically wrap it up for the Marvel rumors in there. Obviously, we disagree with Disney's take on Cebulski's performance, but obviously, sounds like Children of the Atom is going to a limited series. Tom Taylor is returning to the X-Men, and we got a couple of series that are coming out that should coincide with movies. You got anything else to say before we wrap this up?
No, just go to your store and buy some comics if you can.
Absolutely, that's some great advice. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.